So I was updating my Notion library the other day and I realised that I'm now in the middle of 19 series, which is only going to grow with the amount of series I haven't even started yet. After doing some updates and looking at series I want to DNF, I'm now in the middle of 23 series, but 8 of those are ones that I'm in the middle of, so I have 15 incomplete series on my shelves. As I took a step back and looked at my bookshelves, I realised that the most of these series I'm in the middle of, I only have about 1 or 2 books left until it's complete, so I might as well just read them. So that's what's led us to today's video. Today we're going to be completing book series that I am in the middle of, so we can get those numbers down. Let's get into it. I've been reading this for about a week and a half and only now I'm halfway through. So at the start it's very slow. So at the minute I'd say like 50% of the way through. I'm like halfway, maybe a little bit over, like 55%. But it's very slow at the start, like especially with the trope surrounding Roman, which I despise. Why? But like why? I read Divine Rivals not that long ago. I think I read Divine Rivals in May or April. It was like April, May time. So it wasn't that long ago, like when I was in September. It's insanely different to Divine Rivals. Like so different to Divine Rivals. Like I feel like I'm reading a whole new book. Like this feels like a whole different series. It doesn't even feel like the same book. Like are we in the same world? The way that this book focuses heavily on the war and the world of this, like I feel like in Divine Rivals we only got snippets of the war and lore of the book. We only got snippets of that, but this is very heavily focused on the war and the lore and the history of the book. Roman and Iris don't even feel like main characters in their own book. They're literally not main characters. They are side characters in their own book. Like I love Divine Rivals simply for the fact I just love the love in that book. Like you could literally feel the love pouring from them books, well from that book. And like I mentioned, in Divine Rivals the subplot was the war and the romance, and Roman and Iris were the main characters and they were the main focus of the book, and it was very character driven, whereas this is focusing more on the plot. And even though I love plot, I devour plot, I need plot, that's not why I fell in love with Divine Rivals. This is giving too much plot and very little Iris and Roman. Like are they even in the room with us? Because they're surely not in this book. I will say that the writing is still very beautiful. Like Rebecca Ross just writes so poetically beautiful, and I think that's why I fell in love with Divine Rivals, because the letters that Rebecca Ross created in those books that Iris and Roman were sending back together were so beautiful and magical and poetic. You honestly felt like you were falling in love with these characters as well, and that is why that was a 5-star. And that still has this, but it's also lost its spark. For that I am struggling to get through this book. Like it's picked up a bit now, like now that we're at the 50% mark, but I also don't know how it's going to end. But at the minute it's sitting at like a 2-star. I am not vibing with this at all. Like Divine Rivals was a 5-star. I ate that up. I think I read it in a reading vlog. Like I read like most popular book talk books and I read Divine Rivals, and you can see my reactions when I read that book, and it was a 5-star. I loved it. But this just isn't giving it. Like this focuses so heavy on the war. Like you got Daiquiri, which is one of the gods. It's basically a Daiquiri book. That's basically what it is. It's his book. Like I feel like we could do so much less with the gods, so much more of Roman and Kit. And even though in these books you are basically only getting Roman and Kit POVs, all just focus around Daiquiri. And Enver, is that her name? Enver, the other goddess. She gets mentioned loads as well. Like that's the whole like war. It's between Daiquiri and Enver of like this long something that happened in the past. I don't really care. I kind of skim over a lot of it because I just want to get to the good juicy bits with Roman and Kit. With Roman and Iris. And it's just not giving, guys. And I'm really sad because I was really excited. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get this done today. If not, I'll get most of it done today. Finish the rest tomorrow and I'll update you guys when I finally finished this book. I'm done. That was a little improv. I actually finished this a few weeks ago, but I just haven't updated you guys because I'm in the middle of filming about 3 other videos, so I'm a bit behind on my updates. We have finished Ruthless Vows, so let me tell you my thoughts, which aren't good, pre-morning. Now, ever since my last update, I haven't changed my thoughts on this book at all. Not a single thought has changed. I dislike this book with all of my being. It's still about 2 star, maybe even like 1.5, 2 star. I didn't like it at all. Expecting to love this after how much I love Divine Rivals. It just didn't work out for me. I really didn't like this. The first book, like the plot and everything was like so intensely gripping, and like the love that I felt in the first book, like I've already mentioned this, the love that I felt for Divine Rivals, everything was just pouring out of the page. I loved it. This, it just didn't grip me. Nothing about it gripped me. The 2 main characters follow Roman and Iris. Were they in the room with us during this book? No, they were not. This basically was Daiquiri book. Was that his name? Daiquiri? I can't remember. I think that was his name, but anyway, that was basically his. It was about the gods on the wall. This whole book was. Iris and Roman were not the main premise of this book. Like this book heavily focused on the war, and I thought I was going to enjoy that because I've said so many times that I much prefer like plot and politics and just like war in my fantasy books, but that's not the reason why I fell in love with Divine Rivals. So then to have this do a total like U-turn took me by surprise, and I didn't vibe with it a single bit. Like the main characters, Iris and Roman, who I initially fell in love with, they just lost their spark in this book, and I think it's because Rebecca Ross didn't focus solely on those 2 characters. She tried to make it about something else, and that's not why we fell in love with Iris and Roman. And there was moments in this book where I was just genuinely bored. I've had to force myself to get through this, and I devoured Divine Rivals in 2 days. I read almost like 300 pages of it in one whole sitting because I devoured it. I loved it so much. With this, I was just thinking, oh my god, when is this over? I kept on checking like how many pages I had left because I was just like, can this be over now, please? I can see like what Rebecca Ross was trying to do. She's trying to add like these big plot twists to go with the war and the lore of the story and the plot, but it just didn't deliver. Like you had these plot twists and I was just like, they were just very lackluster. Didn't enjoy them. So overall it was a letdown after a very promising start with Divine Rivals, which was a 5 star. This was a very big letdown, and I'm so sad about it because I was so excited to read this, and I know a lot of you were commenting on my 2 star rating on Goodreads and you were like, what, 2 star? Because I know some of you absolutely loved this, but it just goes to show how reading is subjective and how everyone has different thoughts and how everyone has like different expectations of the different books. So I'm really sad about this one. We move on. We're going to read our second book now, which I can't wait to get into because I feel like I need to jump into a different world because I've been reading a lot of fantasy recently, so I feel like I just need some cute, brainless romance. That's what I need right now. Even though it's like spooky season, it's fall season, and like romance is summer and fantasy is fall, I need some romance in my life because I just need to not focus on anything other than a spicy romance book. So let's move on to book number 2.
Just where it was needed, gleaming black as night, cloistered in injustice, dead in the eye of time. Nobody is losing, faces merge and change, but your face remains the same.
Update for you. It's a little while later, but I'm 146 pages into this. I literally sat there and did not move for an hour. Well, it was a little over an hour. I read 146 pages in like under 2 hours. That's insane for me. I'm eating this up. Like, why is this so good? It's like crack. I can't get enough of it. It's so addicting. Like, I knew I was gonna love it because I loved the first book. Like, the first one was like good, but it was like missing something. And I think like Rory and Hazel are bringing that. Like, they are perfect together. The banter they have, the fake dating, and how like obsessed Rory is with it. I'm obsessed. But I have got to close it a sec. Well, a sec. I mean, for the rest of the day, because I have got to go out. I'm gonna go down to my mum's house. I've got a bunch of things I need to do, a bunch of editing I need to do. I need to do my nails, so I probably won't have enough time to read for the rest of the day, but I'm starting my 24-hour readathon tomorrow, so I'm going to finish this in my 24-hour readathon. So there'll probably be like a crossover of clips from my 24-hour readathon in this video, because I'm reading so many books at the minute for like loads of different videos, and I hate being in the middle of so many books, so I'm going to finish this in my 24-hour readathon. So the next clips you see will probably be me in my 24-hour readathon. But I will speak to you guys when I've finished this, because I know for a fact this is going to be an easy 4.5, could even be 5-star if the level of spice is less than the first one, because I think that's my only critique for the first one, was the level of spice, because I'm not a spicy girly. We know I'm not a spicy girly. We say it all the time over here on my channel. I like a little bit of spice, but not too much spice, because too much spice is not for me. So if that has like just the perfect amount of spice, this could be a 5-star easily. So I'm gonna head out now because I've got so much to do and I'm running late because I want to miss the traffic. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on my 24-hour readathon. I really hope there's no third act breakup in this. So we have finished The Fake Out by Stephanie Archer, and I loved this so much. Like, this lived up to every expectation I had. I loved the first book, but there was just something missing. Then this book I knew I was gonna love, just because of how like the characters like had their little cameos in the first one. I knew that I was gonna love their like banter and their like, connection, and I did. Like, the chemistry between these characters was off the charts. This was a 4.75. The only reason why I don't think a Stephanie Archer book will ever be 5 stars for me is because of the amount of spice, and that is just personal preference. You might love a lot of spice in yours and you might do a rate of 5-star. I'm not a spicy gal. I don't mind a little bit of spice here and there. When it's like every other chapter, it gets a bit boring, but this book had great plot, great character development, but a bit too much spice, as did the other book. What was the other book called? Behind the Net. That had a bit too much spice in as well, which I've already spoken about in a 24 readathon I did. I loved this so much. I did really love it. Like, Rory is the sweetest guy ever. Like, he's just that perfect golden retriever vibe, and it was so good. Plus bonus points because there was no third act. But like, what I loved most about this, and like how Stephanie Archer writes in general, is how genuine their connection feels. Like, you can just feel the connections and the love pouring off the pages, and I love that about this book. Like, there was a perfect amount of like swoon worthy moments, but also we had that like deeper emotional connection as well, which I love in a romance book. The side characters, one thing I just love about these books and like hockey romances, you have like these amazing side characters, and sometimes they can just feel like a filler and they're just being like added in for some like substance and some like fluff. But this, like, the side characters are so funny, and I want a book for every single character that appears in these books. Like, this book was just a delight. It was perfect. If you just want some silly fun hockey romance, then I would definitely read, I think it's called the Vancouver Storm series, but the third book is coming out, I think it's like the 28th of September, I think. I'm not 100% sure. When that comes out, I'll be reading it as soon as possible, but I am going to be reading it in a reading vlog. I think I'm going to do like a reading new releases reading vlog, so I'll be reading that as well. So you would have seen me read the first one and the second one and then the third one, so you can see my full journey with Stephanie Archer. These are the first Stephanie Archer books I've read. I only just discovered that she has like 1,000 other books. Like, she's got so many other books and they're all in the works, so I want to work my way through her back catalogue, because her covers are stunning. Like, all of her covers are so pretty that it makes me want to read every single one of them. So yeah, now that I finish this, it's time to get on to our third and final book of this video of finishing series we're in the middle of. I'm gonna go in with The False Start next by Elsie Silver. That is the third and final book. Third and final? This is the 4th and final book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. I've got it here and I'm so excited to read this. This is like my last book of Elsie Silver and then I'll be up to date. I've only got to read her Wild Eyes, which will be coming out 2 or 3 days I think, which I cannot wait for. I haven't been like the biggest fan of this series, so I liked the first book and the second book. The third book I really did not like. I think I rated it like a 2.75 star, and I think that's why I didn't move on to this book. Like I read all of them last year sometime, so because of the third book wasn't like my biggest favourite, like I just stopped reading it. I didn't feel like I needed to go in with this one as soon as possible because I know that this follows Stefan's sister from the third book, so I felt like I didn't want to like jump straight back into another Stefan story even though it's about his sister. But after reading some reviews on Goodreads, I've seen that this is the favourite one of so many people, so I am really excited. But yeah, let's just start a false start. Oh my god, he's gonna do her riding lessons and I just know there's gonna be so much tension. This man's got like a stutter and it's like affecting him so bad. Like he has so much anxiety around his stutter and like when he stutters I feel like crying, honestly, because he just like beats himself up about it and then I'm just like, oh, bless your heart. They called a 3-legged dog tripod. That's just not funny, but it's so funny. Hands off. Griffin's just the perfect man. He is the perfect man. This man bought her a horse. He bought her a horse. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm so tired. So I've literally been reading A False Start all day today. Why as soon as I start filming. But anyway, I've just been finishing. Oh, what's wrong with you? Why can't I speak? I've been reading A False Start all day today. I'm on chapter 19, page 209. I'm literally bang on 50% of the way through. Don't ask me why I've stopped randomly in the middle of a chapter. But it says that I'm gonna finish in 2 hours and 36 minutes, which I think is doable tonight. Like I honestly think I might finish this tonight. This is so good. I'm loving it so much. It's not like my favourite out of like all of the Elsie Silver books. Like the Gold Rush Ranch is my least favourite. Obviously I read Wild Love and I didn't love it, but I was in a slump. So if you go on my Goodreads, I haven't even rated Wild Love because I feel like I couldn't rate it properly because I was in such a slump. It took me like 3-4 weeks to finish that one book. So I am going to do a reread of Wild Love and I haven't read Wild Eyes yet, so I'm not sure how that series is feeling for me yet. Out of like Chestnut Springs and Gold Rush Ranch is my least favourite. I feel like I'm just not connecting fully to the characters because I think it's her. I feel like come Chestnut Springs she sort of like knew what she was doing a bit more, if that makes sense, and I feel like I just connected a lot more with Chestnut Springs. But A False Start follows Nadia and Griffin, and Nadia is Stefan's younger sister from the third book, which is The Front Runner I think it's called. And Nadia and Griffin first meet in a bathroom. The book starts like 2 years in the past and they first meet in a bar bathroom and they share this like sweet sort of tender kiss. So that's before Nadia knows that Griffin is actually her brother Stefan's best friend. And one thing I love with this is they both have their battles that they're like trying to overcome. Like Nadia really struggled with like things from her past. She's really struggling with like the abuse that she experienced from her parents in the past, plus then she's having struggles with like her job, her personal life, like such as like finding love and things. She really wants to just find the man and like be in love, but she's obviously struggling because she has all this trauma basically. So there's a lot of like trauma talk And then we have Griffin, who used to be a pro football player. That sounds so weird saying football player, like American football player. And was it American football or was he just playing football? Because this is Canadian. It was American football, I think. Yeah. I'm from the UK. Football with me is like soccer. So yeah, it says football in here, so take that with what you want. So he was a pro football player and he then like injured himself. He had like a really bad brain injury. So now he has like this stutter, which is honestly the sweetest thing. Like, oh, I just want to like wrap my arms around him. But obviously because of this stutter, he's like really self-conscious about the way he speaks, and he trips up on like his T's and C's, or like the cut noise. So the tut noise and the cut noise, he trips up on them. So then he's really self-conscious. So then because of that, he's like sort of like gone in on himself. He doesn't speak to anyone because he doesn't want to stutter and he doesn't want people to make fun of him. So he's like seen in this really quiet, grumpy man, which I love. But like you see little moments that when he's with Nadia, like he's always said that his stutter like is the worst when he's stressed or like he's thinking about it too much. But then when he's with Nadia, like she points out like, oh, you didn't stutter then, and like it goes to show that when he's with Nadia, he's not stressed and he's not thinking about anything else other than her. So he ain't stuttering. That man is not stuttering, and I'm here for it. I love it so much. I will say it's going like I thought this was gonna be slow burn, but then like we're like 100 something pages in, and like when I think of slow burn, I think of like these angsty subtle touches, like these little moments, and it goes on for like 200 plus pages. Nothing before 200 pages, no thank you. In this, like the first sort of like moment that they have, it's like full-blown scene. Like they don't full on have like full-on sex, have like this moment, and I'm just like, that ain't subtle, that ain't slow burn, the slow burn ain't slow burning. I want these subtle angsty moments and we are not having them, even though it's described as a slow burn. It's not a slow burn. But I feel like I'm always like saying the negative stuff in books, even though I'm loving it. I would just try and pick negative things. I don't know why, and I always do it. I'm always so negative when I speak about books, and I don't know why. Like, even in my 5-star reads, I'm still pointing out something negative, but I am loving it. It's sitting like a 3.75 4-star right now. It's good, but it's not like the best. Do you know what I mean? It's good. I feel like I always have to like argue when I give anything like a 3-star. Like a 3-star is a good book. It's a good book. And like I think if I would have read this last year before my fantasy saga, I probably would have rated this 4-star or above. My reading style has changed drastically in the past year, and I've become a fantasy whore. That like a cutesy romance like this has really got to give me a lot. Like I read just no, This Summer Will Be Different. Mind my chairs just squeaking. I read This Summer Will Be Different, and that was a 5-star read. So I still rate romance books 5 stars, but they've really got to give me something for it to be a 5-star, because now that I'm a fantasy whore, everything's just changed for me. It's completely flipped. But I just wanted to update you guys to say that I'll probably finish this tonight. So enough yapping from me. I'm gonna get into bed. I've got my hot chocolate and I've got my Kindle, so let's do some reading. Oh, that's so good. This man's like, if this woman is a test, I just fucking failed, and I couldn't care less. Oh my god, the nickname he has for a wildflower. So cute. I love a nickname in romance books. It gets me every single time. Like, I just want a man to give me a nickname. Like, what would my nickname be? It'd have to be something cutesy, because I am cutesy. I wouldn't want that. I'd want something like wildflower. That's so cute. I need a man in my life. I'm so single right now. This man literally goes, I thought you looked like you needed to be handled by a real man, by me. I thought you looked like you were supposed to be mine. This man, honestly, the words that come out of his mouth. I need myself a nice country mountain man. Oh my god, these words. Elsie Sullivan knows how to write a scene and good smutty sleeve. Is he's very like Griffin is very like pick me guy kind of vibes, do you know what I mean? Like there's a word for it, but the only word I can come out is it's like the pick me kind of guys, and he's just like a good guy would walk away and spare her the heartache of a man like me, the things I've done, the mistakes I've made. She would hate me if she knew. And it's just giving very like self-deprecating. Is that a word? I need to Google it. Word I'm trying to think of. Not like pick me in the sense of like, oh, like no one loves me, nah. Not like that kind of vibes. It's a bit self-deprecating. It's not self-deprecating, but that kind of vibe. It is self-deprecating. Google is telling me it's self-deprecating. A term for someone who talks down to themselves. That's like what he's doing. See, I am right. Like, my dyslexic brain can sometimes make up words, but I was right that time. He's like very self-deprecating, and he like puts himself down, and then he's very much like, oh, like this girl can't love me like because of this and that. And I'm just like, it's getting a bit boring now. Like, you need to overcome these, and you need to get better. Like, I'm 300 pages in. Like, please stop going on and on about yourself in these very shallow ways. Pick yourself up, Griffin. You're a good man. One thing like he says as well, so there's like an age gap in here. There's like 15 years, I think it is. Like, so she's like making old jokes all the time. Like, just now she's like, must be a really old saying. I've never heard it because she's 21 and he's like 30 something. He always calls her brat. He's like such a brat, and I'm like, that really does show. Like, I feel like I don't know, he's giving me the ick. I don't know why, and I can look past it. I really can. But it's just giving me like a little bit of the ick, but I'm just like, I don't know, I just call, like, you call kids brats, like they're little brats. Kids who are like in their terrible twos, they're brats. Like, why are you calling this woman a brat? So we have finished A False Start by Elsie Silver. I did what I did. I finished it all last night, and overall I think I'm going to settle on a 3.75. I'll get to my reasons in a minute. I'm going to go through all the books that I've read this video, and we're going to do a little wrap up for each and every book, my final thoughts and feelings, my ratings. So let's do a little wrap up. So first, obviously I read Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is still a 2-star. Or did I rate it 1.5? I think I rated it 2-star. I didn't like this. Like, this just was not the Divine Rivals that I fell in love with. I mentioned it when I actually finished the book, how it didn't even feel like the main characters were the main characters in this book. And I know so many people loved this book because of war and politics, and they loved that side of the story, and they loved getting like how they loved seeing how Rebecca Ross wrote like the war and the politics and the law of the world that is Divine Rivals. But that is not why I fell in love with Divine Rivals, and I say this over and over on my channel. If you're a subscriber from the start, then you know I always say that I need plot. I need a really good plot. But for Divine Rivals, I didn't fall in love with it for the plot. I fell in love for the main characters. I fell in love for their love and the connection that they had, and that was lost drastically in this book. And the trope, which I will not say if you haven't read Divine Rivals, I'm not going to say what the main trope is for Roman at the start of this book, but I hate that trope. I hate it with all of my being. I don't even care if it's just for 10 minutes. I hate it. That's why it's a 2-star. I really didn't like this book, and I was so disappointed. Like, I was reading it and I was just like, I really want to love this book. Like, if I didn't love the first book, I would have probably DNF'd this. Like, if I wasn't a big fan of Divine Rivals, if that wasn't a 5-star, I would have DNF'd this. The only reason I pushed through is because I had hopes that it was going to get better, and I just wanted to know how the story wrapped up. So that's the only reason why I finished it. I would have DNF'd it otherwise. And then moving on swiftly, we went in with The Fake Out. I loved this book so much. It was so much better than the first one, not like by a mile, but I enjoyed it more than the first one. I think I just preferred their chemistry. Like, the chemistry they had was just like off the charts. Like, the banter that they had together between Rory and Hazel, I loved this so much. And like, Rory is the sweetest person ever. Like, he's just that typical like golden retriever kind of man, and oh, I love this so much. But one thing I'll say is, like, I loved how genuine their relationship felt. Sometimes you read romance books and you just don't get that feeling, but I honestly felt like I was reading about real people in this. Like, I felt as if I was reading a book about like two people that are celebrities or something. Like, I felt like these were real people, and it just felt so genuine, and I loved it so much. I'm so excited for the next book. The next book is coming out on the 28th of September, so literally I think it's either 26th or 28th, I'm not too sure, but I've pre-ordered it, so I am going to be reading that I'm doing like a reading new releases video, which will be up at some point, but that is going to feature in there, so I'll spoil a few. But my only like tiny gripe sort of is that like the only thing that didn't make this a 5-star is because of the spice. I said it in the last book, and it's the same for this. There's too much spice for me, and I felt like they were just put in not random places, but some authors write spice to like show intimacy. There's so many other ways you can show intimacy in a romance novel. Like Sorry, the bin men are just collecting the bins and they're deciding they want to shout right at this moment. Hurry along, sir. Anyway, as I was saying, there's so many other ways that you can write intimacy and show intimacy between characters in a romance novel. And a great example of this is Abby Jimenez. That's why I love Abby Jimenez and like her writing, because yes, there might be some like one spice scene, like she does write spice. She also writes about these like intimate moments without going into like these full in-depth descriptions, like these full spice scenes that are 10 pages long. Like it doesn't have to be that deep and it doesn't have to be that much. You can write, it can be an intimate and loving relationship without these spicy scenes. Like, and I feel like that's why I don't get on with some romance books than I do others. Like I loved this so much, but the spice was just too much for me. And you might love the spice and that is totally fine, but reading is subjective. I say it all the time. This is my opinion, this is my preference on books, and I rated this low because of my preference. I didn't rate it low, it was like a 4.5, 4.75. It was a good book, but it lost marks for the spice. It would have been a 5-star if there wasn't that much spice in it. So yeah, that's, if you love spice, then you probably love this. Like my friend Danny, she would eat this shit up. Like she loves a bit of spice. But for me, I rather the like little intimate moments that aren't in depth, if that makes sense. And then last night, obviously you've seen that I finished A False Start. Oh, my back is so bad. I finished A False Start by Elsie Silver and I had such high expectations for this, like really high expectations. I didn't have extreme expectations actually. I'm lying to you. What am I on about? I just thought I was like, from the first few chapters, I thought I was really gonna love this and I thought it was gonna be an easy 4.5 star. But I overall rated it 3.75 and I don't know what it is about this series. It's not her best. I feel like this is obviously her debut series. It's the first ever series she wrote, and then obviously I fell in love with Chestnut Springs. I read Chestnut Springs first before I read these, and I think I can see like the big difference. There's not like a drastic change, but you can just see how she writes about the characters, and I think that's why I'm not connecting with the characters as much as I did Chestnut Springs. So like prime example in this is you don't see all of the characters together that often. Like you get little cameos of them and like mentions of them, but we don't, like where was Violet in this? We didn't get anything about Violet in this really, and I'm just like, in the Chestnut Springs there's this massive like found family element and I love found family so much, like it's my favourite thing in the entire world. But then in this we didn't really get that, and I feel like that really like lost points for me, because I just, for it to be the final book in the series, you want to have that like wholesome found family moment, and we didn't get that. But I will say, like, Elsie Silver does know how to write characters' emotions, that like she really pulls you into characters' emotions, and I think that's the only thing that kept me sort of like turning the pages, is the conflict that they had with themselves and like the emotions that they were feeling, and I really wanted to see them like overcome these feelings, and like the chemistry between them, and just Griff in general. Like Griff, I need myself a good grumpy mountain man like Griff, and like his little stutter, guys, as I already said last night, his little stutter is the cutest thing ever. Oh, the way he used to beat it, like he just beat himself up about it whenever he would like stutter, and then he doesn't want to speak, so he isolated himself in the mountains. Like guys, that's just so cute. I need myself a Griff in my life. So like, even though they had like this chemistry between them, like it was undeniable chemistry, I was also promised slow burn, and tell me why there was no slow burn. Like tell me why I was like 150 pages in and they were like doing bits behind a bar. Miss Elsie Silver, where's this slow burn I was promised? Why is this like a 400 page book, 150 pages in, we've got spice? No, I need these intimate, these subtle touches, these longing moments, looking at each other from across the room, these brushing of the hands. I need that up until 200 plus pages. Anything before that, no, I don't want it. But overall, it was a good book. I enjoyed it. Like 3.75 is a good book. Even though I like I said last night, I always pick on the negative things I didn't like, but like it was such a good book. Like I loved the chemistry, loved the romance. Didn't love that there was no slow burn, but once I knew there was no slow burn, that's fine. Don't advertise as a slow burn if it's not a slow burn. But yeah, loved the chemistry, loved the romance, loved the emotional side of things. Didn't like the family, like the found family, but I did like that we still got like cameos of the other characters. So overall, it was good. It was alright, you know, 3.75. it was alright. But that was everything that I read for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and let me know in the comments if you've read any of those. And if you did get to the end of this video, then comment a little pink tulip so I know you're a real one, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!